Welcome to class. We're recording. We're live. Yeah. Good to see all of you. Thanks for being here. Got some empty seats. It's too bad for them. They are going to miss out today. Let us review quickly what we talked about yesterday. We did two types of critiques, right? The first one was the or newspaper and television review. Let me catch a light so we can see a little better. Okay, remember that a newspaper and television review contains these things. First of all, it's prepared for a general audience. We want everyone to be able to read it, enjoy it, and understand it. Okay? It answers our immediate question, should I see the movie? Bless you. Thank goodness for masks. You just sneeze. You don't even have to cover your mouth anymore.
Yes,
this is like,
Just keep all of the boogers in your mask.
all your boogers and germs are in your mask. It's amazing. I saw one time this girl, she sneezed into her mask and then she lifted it and like wiped everything off on her hand. I was like, why are you even doing it? Why'd you wear it? Anyway. Anywho, so it answers our question, should I see the movie? The next thing, it provides a plot summary of the film. It discusses the stars, the actors, who's appearing in the movie. Provides a brief statement about the film's general theme. And the reviewer focuses almost entirely on whether they liked it or didn't like it, or what they liked about it when they didn't like about it. A good critic is going to put a little of both. If they absolutely loved everything, you've got to find something to put in there that was a little weak, right? Okay, so that's a newspaper and television review. Blah, blah, blah. And then we had this one, the general interest journal-based criticism. Now, remember, this is it's between the newspaper and television review and a scholarly article. So it's a little of both worlds in there. If I just said that, we have more space in these type of reviews, and it's not urgent to hurry and get it printed, published, opening weekend. There's a more detailed explanation of the structure or the messages of the movie. It's more sophisticatedly, I don't know if that's a word, but it is now, sophisticatedly written. It's written with more sophistication, we'll say that. How about that? It provides some historical context, maybe the context of when the movie is made, the time period, or the time period that the movie is made about. Okay, so maybe it's made in 2020, but it was the movie takes place in 1800. Okay, so either of those historical contexts. We have some behind-the-scenes information in there. There's a more in-depth discussion of the plot, but it still answers the question, should I see it? But specifically, who should see it, right? People who love blood and guts and gore, you're going to love this movie. Watch it. Or if you don't like that, definitely don't watch it. Okay, so those are the two we've talked about so far. I promised you we were going to talk about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so here we are. I'm going to show you two trailers. The first from the 1989 movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This is my era, my generation. We watched this show.
Are they the same actors in these two movies?
They are. So, Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves. This was 31 years ago. Did I do my math right? 31 years ago. They're in their 50s now, so pretty much on their way out of life. It really is. Really, once you hit like 35, it's just like.
Well, but
get ready for it. I know. I'm on my way out. I'm downhill from here, folks. I am. Okay, so we'll watch the 1989 trailer first, and then we'll watch the 2020, the third version, or third installment of the Bill and Ted franchise. You'll see immediately that trailers in the 80s and 90s were a lot different than they are now. We had a lot more commercial time, apparently, in the 80s. So watch this and enjoy. posture. Oops, I turned the volume down.
Now, a motion picture so grand, so magnificent, and so vast, it spans 7,000 years.
No way! Yes way!
But it starts with Bill.
Bill is Preston!
Who's Joan of Arc? And Ted.
Noah's wife? We're in danger of flunking most heinously tomorrow.
A force from the future
Can we go anywhere we want, at any time?
You can do anything you want.
is putting history at their fingertips.
Let's reach out and touch someone.
They're traveling through time.
How's it going, Royal Ugly Dudes?
Put them in the Iron Maiden.
Excellent!
Execute them.
Bogus! How's it going, dudes?
And they're making a big impression.
Historical babes.
Now they're home
Buddy, get together and remember who your buddy is.
to trash the 20th century.
No, I want him.
Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Napoleon,
We're from history.
Billy the Kid, Joan of Arc, Sigmund Freud,
Tell me about your life.
You a musician?
Beethoven,
Genghis Khan!
Abraham Lincoln,
Party on, dudes!
Socrates, George Carlin,
We're history.
If you guys are really us, what number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
Bill and Ted's
Excellent! Excellent!
Excellent Adventure.
Party on, dude.
All right, that's 1989 for you. So funny, such a funny show. And then they made it into a sequel, I think 2 years later, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. And then it was so popular, they made it into action figures. You could buy the Bill and Ted action figures. There was a Saturday morning cartoon spin-off. They had a Bill and Ted's Excellent cereal that you could have for breakfast. It just was a big deal. So now let's watch the 2020 installment. And we're back to here, and we're here, and we're full screen.
If it isn't the Wild Stallions.
Let's rock!
When your wife suggested couples therapy, do you think this is what they had in mind?
Definitely. I mean, we're a couple of couples, right?
Bill, Ted, enough of the delusions. You didn't time travel, and you didn't go to heaven and hell. Here's a real idea for you. Be role models to your daughters. Get real jobs.
Bill, we've spent our whole life trying to unite the world. And I'm tired, dude.
Ted, we have a destiny to fulfill.
Well, greetings, my excellent friend. We have a problem.
Step forward. A song created by Preston Logan, performed tonight, will save reality as we know it.
Oh, dude, we better write that song now. Or why can't we just go to the future when we have written it?
Take it from ourselves.
Except, won't that be stealing?
Cheers! How's that stealing? We're stealing it from ourselves, dude.
Dude, my dad's are totally in trouble. You should help him out.
No way! How's it going, Bill and Ted?
We're putting together a most extraordinary band.
Do you want to be in our band?
Oh, this is so fantastic.
We're gonna go talk to Death. Is he playing hopscotch by himself? Dude, he's cheating. Hey, Death.
If it isn't the Wild Stallions.
Let's rock! Be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes.
Nina! Billy! Dance!
How you doing? Well, you know, dead band, we're in hell.
But doing?
We're good.
Can't wait to see it. If you see it before me, don't spoil it for me, please. Okay, so let's see what the critics say about the new edition. All right? So I have for us, for our enjoyment, I have a newspaper and television review of Bill and Ted Face the Music. And then I've got a, that just distracted me, a general interest journal-based critique for us. Okay, so,
What is like reading the review spoil it though?
not anymore than watching the trailer. Yeah, in a review, that's a good question. You don't want to spoil the ending, right? You want to put just enough information in there that the audience wants to see it, right? Or not see it, if you're of that opinion. But we don't want to spoil it for anybody, because that's so unprofessional. So, all right, let's review or read through this newspaper and television review. Okay, this comes from the Roger Ebert website. Remember, who's Roger Ebert? Who's that name? Toby?
He was that famous critic.
Yeah. Remember the duo that I showed you the picture of? We watched the video yesterday at Jurassic Park. He's one of them. This is from his website. Though he's dead, this was not written by him. This was written by Brian Tallarico. Okay. You follow here. I'll read out loud. The very good cinematic news in a week when everyone could use a smile is that Bill and Ted Face the Music is essentially all it needed to be. It's a long-awaited sequel that doesn't betray its beloved characters, and it doesn't merely repeat what people loved about them in the first place. Most of all, it is a remarkably likable comedy about two good guys still trying to find their place in the world that's anchored by genuinely sweet beliefs about the importance of friendship, honesty, and most of all, music. Be excellent to each other, dudes. It still matters. It's pretty good, pretty catchy, right? I think we could probably assume that the writer liked the movie. Sounds pretty positive so far. Long past the point where they merely need to pass their history class, Bill, Alex Winter, and Ted, Keanu Reeves, are now parents to daughters named Thea, Samara Weaving, and Billy, Bridget Lundy Payne. They're still married to the princesses from the first film. Spoiler, sorry, they married medieval princesses and bring them back. Played here by Aaron Hayes and Jayma Mays. But the relationships have gotten a bit rocky. Part of the reason is that when Bill and Ted are told they need to go to couples therapy, they think both couples need to be there at the same time. Bill does nothing without Ted and vice versa. They can't even say I when they're in therapy, resorting to we. Whatever one feels, so does the other. The problem is that their band, Wild Stallions, has yet to write the song that will bring the universe together. After years of fame that dissipated to such a degree that they have now been reduced to playing open mics, they're still trying to write just the right tune and failing over and over again. In a sense, Face the Music is about feeling like you don't live up to your destiny, like you failed a younger version of yourself who was set on changing the world. It turns out that Bill and Ted have run out of time to do what they were told they had to do by Rufus. George Carlin is lovingly tributed here and then recast in a sense in the form of Rufus's daughter Kelly, played by Kristen Schaal. So George Carlin has passed away. After therapy, Bill and Ted are sped off to another reality by Kelly, where they meet the great leader, played by Holland Taylor, who tells them that they have to write the song that ties all the universe together, or humanity will literally cease to exist. It's already starting to happen as figures from the past are being zapped into the present day, ripping apart the fabric of time. Tenet isn't the only time travel movie this week. And so, Bill and Ted decide to go to the future to steal the song from themselves. So far, we knew all that from the trailer, right? Leading to some wonderful, funny sequences in which the guys meet versions of themselves in their possible futures. In most of them, they're angry and alone, and Bill and Ted realize that they're going to lose the princesses if they don't fix their home lives too. Meanwhile, their daughters get the classic B&T roles, Bill and journeying back through time to meet important figures from history. They try to put together the Dream Band to back their dads to save the day, including Mozart, Jimi Hendrix, Louis Armstrong, and Kid Cudi. Is that someone you know? Cudi? Okay, thank you. Kid Cudi, wonderfully playing himself. Eventually, Bill and Ted cross paths with Death, played by William Sadler, again, and even encounter a hesitant killer robot named Dennis Caleb McCoy, played hysterically by Anthony Carrigan of Barry fame. Bill and Ted Face the Music is fast-paced and funny. Winter falls into his old shoes a little bit better than Reeves, but Keanu's genuine likability as an actor goes a long way with some of his best lines. There's a refreshing lack of cynicism in these movies that honestly believe that friendship and creativity are going to tie us all together through history, something that feels like it registers with Winter and Reeves in their real lives too. These are compassionate actors, and that comes through in the roles. This is not the kind of late sequel that's a cash grab. It's clearly a labor of love. The troubled marriages subplot gets a bit too much screen time and doesn't work as well as the best material in the film. And some early scenes feel a little clunky in terms of pacing, but it's never anything that lasts too long. By the time Bill and Ted, their equally charming daughters, Death, an unforgettable robot, and Kid Cudi are in the final stages of trying to save the world, it's a movie that almost dares you not to like it. It's goofy in all the right ways and even serves as a reminder that it's never too late to face the music, but only if we do it together. That's very well written, right? It's interesting, it's fun, and it covers all of the bases we need for a newspaper television review. Let's make sure that that is a true statement, though. So here we are there. Prepared for a general audience. What did it have in there? What elements made it so it was for a general audience? Toby?
Discusses the stars that appear in the film.
Okay, yeah, that's in there, right? It talks about Keanu Reeves and Winter and all of the other people in there. Okay, for the general audience, everyone could understand, right? It wasn't written at a really intellectual level. It wasn't written just for a little kid. It was written so everybody would understand. Also, it had hyperlinks in there, so if you wanted to go and look at the actors and see what other stuff they've done, that's there. Okay, answered the question, should I see the movie? What do you think?
Yes.
What kind of things did it say in there that made us think we should see the movie?
We talked about how it's definitely not a cash grab sequel and it does everything how a sequel should.
Okay, yep, they weren't just trying to make money. Yep, there was something for it. What other things? Chase?
Said the characters did things that made them likable, but not like the things that they had already done that made them likable.
Okay, yeah, good.
And it talks about how like they realize they have to be together in order to accomplish their goal, which is the brief statement about the film's general theme.
Okay, great. Yes, so we can go to that point there. We can accomplish anything, face the music, if we do it together. Yeah, that's a good theme, right? Also in there, be excellent to each other. That's a good theme. Okay, the plot, that was in there. Talked about a lot of things that the writer liked about it. Anything that they disliked? Is there any part of that in there, Brooklyn?
They said a few scenes were clunky and like the marital problems were a little too long.
Yeah, they're at the very end. They're like, oh, we loved it so much, but here's something I guess we didn't like. It was a little clunky. Maybe don't spend so much time on the disturbed marriage stuff. Okay, all right, so good. It has all the elements. Now let's look at another review, the General Interest Journal-Based Criticism Review. I'm not going to read all of this to you because it is long. We have a lot more space in these type of reviews. These aren't necessarily written for a general audience, so we're going to look for things in here that make it different from our newspaper and television review. Okay? So, here we go. Same picture, different title. Bill and Ted and the Bogus Letdown of Gen X Middle Age. Ugh. Gen X, do you know what that is? Yeah, it's before, what are you guys? You're Gen Z. Okay, then we had millennials before you. Yeah, so I'm kind of on the verge. I'm not sure really where I fit with between a millennial and a Gen X. What was that? Okay, so I guess I'm Gen X. Well, born, but raised in the millennial time period. Not that you care. I'm just, for myself, trying to figure out, just, where do I fit in, you know? That's what I'm wondering. Okay, anywho. So, here we go. Let's see what they have to say. Michael Schulman. The year, let's admit, has been most heinous. A time traveler to the present would be well advised to turn right back. I like that. That's very true. Do not come to 2020 if you're time traveling. And yet, late summer has brought a rustling in the distance and a telephone booth bearing two unlikely saviors, Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan, known to future generations as the Great Ones. In a word, whoa. Once Generation X icons, Bill and Ted have not appeared in a movie since the waning months of the Soviet Union. But now, Hollywood, with its bottomless appetite for nostalgia and revivable IP, has brought back the Great Ones in Bill and Ted Face the Music, and not a moment too soon. Their two-pronged philosophy, to party on and to be excellent to each other, has gone woefully unheeded. But do they have it in them to turn things around? As played by Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, Bill and Ted are now in their 50s and still rocking out, though middle age has taken its toll. Their band, Wild Stallions, has tanked. They're playing at weddings and dive bars, and their marriages to the medieval babes they picked up in the first movie are on the rocks. I'm tired, dude, Ted says to Bill, and you can see it under his eyes. It's a striking contrast to their first appearance in the 1989 film Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, in which our heroes are happy-go-lucky San Dimas teenagers with bad report cards and aspirations of heavy metal glory. In a plot twist that neither sees coming, a messenger from the year 2688 named Rufus, the much-missed George Carlin, informs them that the fate of humanity rests on their shoulders. It turns out the Wild Stallions will someday write a song that will put an end to war and poverty and align the planets in universal harmony. But only if Bill and Ted ace their history report. To that end, Rufus sends them on a journey through time, where they collect figures such as Napoleon, Socrates, and Abraham Lincoln, and bring them back to the 1980s San Dimas, where Joan of Arc takes up aerobics and Genghis Khan lays waste to a sporting goods store. In the 1991 sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, the duo traveled through heaven and hell and beat Death himself in a game of Twister. Perhaps cinema's most unlikely Ingmar Bergman homage. Let's get one thing straight about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It rules. If you haven't watched the movie lately, or ever, it feels an awful lot like time travel, back to an era when flannel shirts were cinched around the waist, phone booths were modern technology, and malls were not desiccated infrastructure, but the nexus of American social life. The characters were created by Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson, UCLA grads, who first played the duo in an improv sketch in 1983. They wrote the Excellent Adventure screenplay in 4 days. The movie was shot in 1987, but then shelved when its original distribution company, the Something Something Entertainment Group, went bankrupt. When it finally came out in 1989, it grossed $40 million and launched a franchise that included, I already told you, an animated series and a breakfast tie-in, Bill and Ted's Excellent Cereal. At the time, Bill and Ted epitomized a youth culture that was pointing the way from the 80s into the 90s. The characters grew out of and fed the archetype of the Gen X teen boy, specifically the Southern Californian variety that speaks in terms like dude and bodacious. They share a lineage with Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World, who made their first appearance on Saturday Night Live the day after Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure premiered, and with Beavis and Butthead, who debuted on MTV in 1993. All three duos belong to a subset of the late 80s, early 90s teenager, the metalhead, a type that overlapped with stoners, slackers, skaters, and surfer dudes, epitomized by Michelangelo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Jeff Spicoli, Sean Penn's character in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. These subspecies were the predominantly male answer to the Valley Girl, another SoCal archetype whose trendy upspeak was codified in 1982 by the handbook The Valley Girl's Guide to Life, and in Frank Zappa's song Valley Girl, featuring his 14-year-old daughter, Moon Zappa, yapping phrases such as, like, oh my god, and totally. But metalheads were their own thing. As Winter helpfully clarified in a 1991 interview, Bill and Ted are not surfer dudes. They're not part of that culture. What they want is very real. They want to get rock and roll they want to be great rock and roll musicians, and that's a very tangible thing. Their only problem is that they're too stupid to be able to achieve it. And on and on and on it goes. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we get it. It's not like the other one. So far, we really haven't heard anything about the new movie, have we? It's all talking so far about the 1980s and that time period, which is exactly what this type of review should be and what it should do. Let me quickly go back to, well, as quickly as I can. I never remember how we do this. Aha! Okay, this is what the general interest journal-based criticism does. Of these things, what did you spot from what I read to you? William?
They provide a lot of historical context about regular series.
Yeah, there was a lot of historical context, yeah. If you didn't live in the 80s and 90s, you get a better feel for that. Yeah. Okay, yes, definitely. Good. What else? What else? I think all of these things were on here, so let's discuss them. It's also this page. We didn't quite get to the more in-depth plot yet. Uh-huh, yeah. And this also, with that, the urgency, there's not much urgency to talk about a 1989 and 93 movie, right? We're a little late for that to be up to date. Toby?
Talked about the behind-the-scenes information, like when it said they wrote the screenplay in 4 days and all about it and stuff.
Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah, I liked that. There's a little bit of behind-the-scenes information when it talked about the interview that Winter had, and he said, Alex Winter, he said that Bill and Ted they're not the surfer dudes. What they want is real. So we got a little bit of that feel in there too. Okay, great. All right, now let's talk about the third type of criticism, which is scholarly criticism. This is the type of writing that we get when we're looking for information in a research project. Or maybe this is what we're writing when we're writing a research project. In this we have, it contains almost no focus on the consumer function of telling readers whether they should see the film or skip it. They're not trying to help the film studio raise money or lose money. They don't care about that. That's not the goal. It has nothing to do with financial stuff. Okay? It explores the significance of a given film in relation to often complex issues of theory, history, or technology. This type of criticism is written for an audience of scholars, not a general audience. So later this trimester we're going to talk about auteur theory. That's part of this, right? Where we don't just focus even on one movie anymore. more in scholarly criticism. We look at an array of films. So we look at a lot of like Disney movies, right? And we talk about how do they fit into this theory? How do they support the theory? It's very, very scholarly. When you read them, you feel very smart or very stupid. Either way. Sometimes I feel dumb when I read them. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Scholarly critics use a more demanding and specialized vocabulary and often use film theory models to support and shape their arguments. So if we don't know what auteur theory is yet, and we read an article about it, we'll be totally confused because they're using language that's not familiar to us. They don't discuss whether the film is good or bad either, unless they're saying that it is good evidence of this theory or bad evidence. Okay, and here's some places you can find this type of criticism if you're interested in it, which we all are. We can all subscribe to Film Quarterly or Cinema Journal or Screen or Wide Angle, which we do, right? We already have subscriptions. I thought so. Okay, well, speaking of Disney, let's look at just a little bit of this article, this scholarly critique of Walt Disney films. Okay, the title, Images of Madness in the Films of Walt Disney. Images of madness. Madness in the sense of, I hate to use the word, but crazy is what they're saying here, but mental illness, really. So the image is, how does Disney frame mental illness in cartoons? That's what this article is about. And it's fascinating, if you're into that sort of thing. I'll read you a few paragraphs. We'll zoom in and we'll see. It has been demonstrated that images of madness in the media powerfully influence the general public and serve to perpetuate popular stereotypes of mental illness. Already in that first sentence, I know we're in for a ride. While the cinema's treatment of psychiatric issues has received critical attention, there's an in-text citation, there is one area of filmmaking that has so far been neglected, the work of Walt Disney. Perhaps because it has been primarily regarded as entertainment for children. Disney's work has not been subjected to serious examination. This neglect, however, is surprising in view of the current debate about the influence of the media on children, when one also considers that Disney films are now available on video and are being seen by millions. It seems worthwhile to look at the images of madness that they present. Shall I go on?
Yeah.
I'll read a little bit more. I thought you'd say no, but okay. Disney has himself been the subject. I'm going to skip this part and go to the, go to this. Stop. Go back. This paragraph. We'll talk about the films. It's striking how often the theme of madness appears in the work of Disney. In an early film, Dumbo, from 1941, the hero's mother is locked up because she is a mad elephant. She has been judged to be mad by the other circus performers because of a violent outburst in which she tried to protect her son from the taunts of the audience. The viewer realizes that Mrs. Jumbo is not mad and that she has been unfairly judged by others. Her behavior, which seemed wild and uncontrollable, is actually quite understandable and even commendable in that she was trying to help her son. The community, which has judged her, is seen to be deeply unattractive, malicious, gossipy elephants, jeering little boys, and ineffectual ringmaster and drunken clowns. To be excluded from this society would almost seem to be an achievement, a sign of personal integrity. Okay, and it goes on and on and on. We learn more about mental illness and how Disney portrays that in cartoons. And if you're interested in reading that, I can give you the article, but we won't go on. It makes me think about the way that Belle in Beauty and the Beast is portrayed at the very beginning, right? The town, they're like, look at her, she's different than all of us. She must be crazy. But really it's the town has issues and she's the normal one.
Does this article talk about Alice in Wonderland?
I don't remember Alice in Wonderland. That might be a different type of madness, like drug overdosing.
It was like a Mad Hatter
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it's like in the paragraph on the right. Yeah, really big one. Oh, that should be a scary.
Oh, it does talk about it. Okay, right here. Yep. Most everyone's mad here, according to the Cheshire Cat. Disney shows him to be slippery, elusive, and contradictory, and in fact, the film makes a visual pun out of the notion that he is not all there. Okay. Interesting. So, this is not the kind of article you would go to if you're like, okay, I want to know about Dumbo. I want to know if that's a good one I should see. And you go to this, it doesn't answer your question, right? Should I see it? So that's not the purpose of this. Like I said, it's written for an audience of scholars, not a general audience. What? What about Winnie the Pooh?
There's an article somewhere about how all the characters represented different types of mental illness. Bear is eating disorder, Piglet is anxiety, Rabbit is OCD, and Eeyore is depression, the Owl is narcissism, and Christopher Robin is schizophrenia.
Interesting.
And Tigger's ADHD.
Yeah. Huh. I had never thought of the movie like that, or the cartoons like that. Okay. We're going to do a little practice now, becoming movie reviewers. You're all now employed by a journal company. We're printing an article and a review. It's a newspaper and television review on this movie that we're going to watch. It's called Ivory. Okay? So we're going to watch it, we're going to preview it, and as we're previewing it, we're thinking, how am I going to answer all these questions in my review? Okay? So we're looking, how can we prepare our review for a general audience? What kind of things will we put in there, and what kind of things will we leave out so that a general audience enjoys that? Okay? We've got to decide, should other people see the movie? We've got to give a plot summary, so we're paying attention to the basic plot. Where does it start? Where does it end? Discuss any stars that appear in it. By the way, there are no stars in it. It's a documentary, so there's nobody famous in it, but we're going to look at the names of the people that are in it. It provides a brief, we need to find a general theme. What's the moral of this movie that we want people to know about? And then look for things we like about it and things we dislike about it. A little of both, all right? Okay. It's a movie, I said it's called Ivory. It's a documentary about boxing, which, by the way, boxing was one of the first movies ever made. We'll learn about that when we get to film history, but one of the first movies was about boxing. This one is not the first one. This one was made only a few years ago. And there are lots of other documentaries about boxing. This one, however, is award-winning because of the way that it tells the story of boxing. So watch and be thinking, oh, the questions are not up there, but be thinking of those questions.
Y'all listen, the key of Lotto is to get used to the ring. And another thing, when y'all doing this, how's y'all going? Anything your nose out your mouth. If you breathe out your mouth, you wasting it. You're gonna be tight. Go, to the left. Watch each other's feet. Ready for the fight coming up? You ready for the fight coming up? Of course I am. Ready, ready. Golden Gloves is the biggest fight in Chicago. Everybody think that I can't do it. I'm 17 years old with tattoos, dreadlocks. I'm black. I've been in jail before. They don't think that I have what it takes. If I win this fight, then I can prove everyone wrong. I know a lot of people who came in this gym like they wanted to box or wanted to, I know people who've been in before me and was doing it like, oh, they was good at it. I don't know what was their downfall, but they stopped coming. I know people who's locked up right now who was here with me. I know people who's dead who was here with me. I know people who came here that killed their self because stuff they went through out in the real world. I did all the wrong stuff already, now I just want to get right. How was you? 11? 12. When I was 12 years old, I had about 3 tattoos. I done already had like 3 guns. I've been locked up twice. I sold drugs. I got shot at. I shot at people. You ever heard of karma? Karma, yeah. Karma. When you do stuff and it backfires on you. I did all that stuff, and I didn't realize what I was doing until my mama passed away. If I get shot, none of my friends gonna be there with me. I get locked up, ain't nobody gonna come in here and see me, give me anything. My mama would. Where she going? My daddy went around, but tried to build a relationship with him. And he just took alcohol over me. I begged him to stop drinking. Long story short, he passed away when I was entering my senior year of high school. That man went years without talking to me. My mama was my father. And he passed away, but it still hurt because without them two, I wouldn't be here. Now, I got people in heaven watching down over me. And I know I gotta make them smile in heaven. I ain't make them smile while they was down here. So I gotta make them smile in heaven. You gotta set a goal for yourself. And there's nothing in the world that you can't do.
Our winner tonight in the 2018 Golden Gloves champion by split decision, out of the red corner, Oscar Ochoa.
You win or lose, you still can fight and experience something. You learn from your mistakes. Somebody come out shooting at you and stuff. That ain't something that you can learn from. Everybody think y'all can't do it. But I believe in y'all. I believe in all y'all.
5, 6, 7, 8.
So before you think about going to the streets and doing any of the things that I did, just think about the chance that you was given. Think about you still being here. Your mother got shot when she was pregnant with you. Think about the stuff that you learned. Think about the stuff that you can teach people now. You feel me? Think about those things.
How's it right there? Cool. This kid was your age when this was made. He was a senior in high school. Kind of cool at the end that it said he graduated valedictorian school. First in his family to graduate high school. Okay, so we are, like I said, we're writing a review about this. What we just saw. We're writing about, we want to either get somebody to watch it or not to watch it. By answering those questions. We are not writing the review, we are only planning the review, okay? So I'll say that a few times, just keep that in mind. We're not writing the review, just planning it out. Okay, so here are the questions. You are going to answer these questions on your own, just on a piece of paper, and this can be as brief as you'd like it to be. You can write in phrases or bullet points, or if you want to write whole sentences out, that's okay. But you are actually going to, on your paper, write these bullet points. So we're going to write general audience. And these are things, little notes we're going to write to remind ourselves, if we were to go write the review, what we want to put in it. So what kind of things would we want to include if we're writing this for a general audience? What do you think? We'll do a couple of these together and then I'll let you go. Gretchen? Normal vocabulary. Yeah, this is not a scholarly review. So, normal vocab. Okay, good. Do any of you know all the jargon, the lingo for boxing? You know all the rules and everything? Probably. I mean, I do. I'm an avid boxer. But most people don't. So we don't want to include jargon in there that people are not going to understand. So I'll just write no jargon. By the way, I was kidding about boxing. I have no idea anything about it. Yeah, Megan?
Providing links for further exploration.
Well, I like that. Links for further info. Okay. What kind of things could we link? Maybe link to a bio page about the author or the director, or info about the Golden Gloves competition, maybe. free, so people can go learn more about that. Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna answer, should I see it? And we'll put yes or no, and then give a couple things about why somebody should see it, why they should not see it, and so on. We're gonna answer all of the bullet points, giving a few thoughts to guide us if we were to write the review. Okay? I'll say it one more time. We're not writing the review, we're just planning it. So the assignment you're going to turn in is this piece of paper with your bullet points, with a few thoughts or explanation about what you would put in the review. Okay? So you have 5 minutes to work on this. If you finish before the end of class, you can tear that paper out, put it in this blue basket. If you don't finish during class, bring it back tomorrow and just hand it in. Do you need these questions up here still? Okay, I'll keep them up for another minute or so, and then I'm going to go back to the end of the movie with the credits so you can get names of people. Names of the people that were in it, the director, anybody on the production team. If you don't have them, maybe you want to take out your phone and just take a picture of the wall so you've got them for later. And go back to that page. Also, this will be on Canvas if you lose your picture. Okay. I'll zoom in a little so you can get names. I would definitely be sure to put the guy Ivory Hall in there. Look how he spells his name. It's not like ivory, like it's spelled in, as in the color. Make sure you finish this tonight, but don't spend more than 5 minutes on it. All right? But don't forget to